All right. Oh.
You ready?
Actually, I was just noticing on here, look at the sunlight coming in from the streaks from the blinds and how it's reflecting on the ceiling with then also the fan there. That's kind of cool. What's up, everyone? I'm the Kaiju no Kami from the Toku Animation News Network with
Cruellica Kain.
And today we're going to talk about episodes 7, 8, and 9 of Ultraman Taiga. Or did I just say Taiga?
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely a morning.
Well, yeah, that's why I was surprised that you wanted to do a live stream so early.
Well, then we don't have to do it later today, because then we're free the rest of the day.
Is it free?
We're doing episodes 7, 8, 9 of Ultraman Arc, not Taiga. Even though some parts of Arc feel like they are just rehashing Taiga. Because both had the Ultramen coming into their lives when they were children and staying inside their bodies asleep as they grew up.
I would just say asleep until adulthood, just because the way you're explaining it sounds a little creepy.
Okay. So first we have episode 7, The Full Moon's Answer. I don't really know what this episode had to do with the full moon, other than apparently the monster gives birth during a full moon.
Well, I'm not sure about the moon itself, because so we'd start the episode with the monster we start the episode with it being unnaturally hot. Somebody makes a comment about climate change.
Mm-hmm.
And then we find out that there's like this hole in the ground that is radiating
heat,
significantly more heat than the temperature outside.
Because it is apparently very hot out. Which was hilarious when they all are like, oh, this little drink, because it was what? Ice, tea?
Iced coffee.
Which is, oh, gross.
People drink iced coffee. You don't like coffee as it is. So.
But they're finally like, oh, yeah, that feels good. I'm like, yeah, I know those feelings. When you're like really hot and the littlest thing is like, ah. Or it's just like opening up the freezer.
Well, it's the opposite sometimes for me when I'm feeling really sick and I'm really cold. When I'm baking something in the oven and I open up the oven and that blast of heat when I'm freezing. But yeah.
But then we have poor Abaret goes to grab his drink because he sees everyone chilling. And they get a call as soon as he goes to grab it. So he never actually got to enjoy it.
That's the joy of an adult.
Momentary coldness.
But so they think at first that maybe the heat from this sinkhole is volcanic. Which makes sense because, one, Japan is an island which has that, and it does have a gigantic volcano. And then it comes to find out that it's a monster that is just essentially made of heat, can spew fire as an attack, kicks Arc's ass.
And then starts draining his energy to the point where he just does...
And yeah, just disappears. And so you bought... the head.
Yes.
Yubot then goes to investigate because nobody living can go that close. So Yubot goes to investigate and sees that there's 2 heartbeats. And Yuma makes the educated guess that some creatures have 2 hearts for kaijus. And we see this girl who we saw in the beginning say, "You don't know anything." I almost thought, like, "You don't know anything, Jon Snow." And then...
Oh, God. Yeah, now that you just said that, you don't know anything. Oh, my God. Did you really have to put it that way?
Mm-hmm.
You know nothing, Jon Snow.
Whatever. But still. Then through educated guess, through listening to the girl tell him about the history and the mythology of this creature, we come to find out it's preggers. And...
Preggers?
Yeah, preggers, pregnant.
Oh.
And that this creature is like many other creatures actually living today, that to give birth, they sacrifice their own lives. So I think there's like a squid population and so many other creatures that the moment they give birth to their child, they die to become that energy.
Yeah, their energy apparently goes into the baby and it starts all over again.
Now, would the Republicans be more open to abortion if humans had that?
Well, and it was a confusing story, though, because...
I didn't think it was that confusing.
Well, it was confusing because then they're talking about, oh, the monster's going to explode and destroy the city like it's done multiple times. But the lady's like, no, you can't stop it. You got to let it go. Like, you're supposed to let it destroy the city to give birth?
Well...
It was like, what? I didn't really understand that part.
I think from a distant past perspective, if it destroyed the city, nobody was living there.
Well, no, because in their documents it talked about a volcano erupted, destroying the civilization of that time.
Well, maybe it was underground, and it was, like you said, a volcano. But because the kaiju is above ground...
I don't know. I was actually lost on that ending. I was like, wait, what? Because then Arc turns into his moon form and spins around to make a whirlwind so that the fire doesn't spread across the city. Mm-hmm. And the kaiju goes boom. I don't remember seeing the baby.
The baby was there at the end. I don't think we saw it, but it was there.
Okay. I don't know. I was just kind of lost by the end. I was just like, huh? What just happened?
Well, I don't think it helped that I think when we were starting that first episode, there were so many external things in our home going on that distracted us.
Yeah, but it was still like, huh? So I wasn't too thrilled with that episode.
It wasn't a terrible episode. I think it's one that I need to watch again just to get back into it. And did we ever do introductions?
What do you mean?
Of who we are for people if they don't know us?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't remember that.
I did that at the very beginning. Mm-hmm. And then I said Ultraman Taiga, episode 6.
Yes.
Wait, no, 7 through 9 of Taiga. Oh, wait, did I just say Taiga?
Oh, yeah. Then we have episode 8.
Which, that was a weird episode.
So, episode 8 actually deals with, what's the title again?
The Kanagon, Internet Kanagon? I think that was it. Yes, Internet Kanagon.
So, this episode is talking about conservation and also at the same time internet, like social media influencer culture.
It was basically, though, also Reaganomics. Because they're giving the Kanagan money, and instead of the Kanagan spending that money, he's just hoarding it like the rich people did. And they're
okay, to dumb it down for anybody who did not experience the explanation of Reaganomics, let me give you a quick and dirty background that will help for context of Americans to this episode. Back in the 1980s, our former American president, who was sadly passed, long time ago, but passed, Ronald Reagan, had come up with this fiscal policy called the trickle-down effect. Basically, by paying more money to the corporations, I'm not going to go into the rich people standpoint, so don't go.
Yeah, just do your explanation.
Okay. But by giving corporations tax breaks, shut up. By giving corporations tax breaks, the expectation is that the money would funnel into that, the money saved into the business would then trickle down, shut up, to the employees, that the employees would get pay raises, that they would have more growth potential, that there would be this cyclical process that essentially...
And then the employees could spend more in the economy.
Yes, then the employees having more disposable income can spend more money into the economy, which then goes into the taxes and so on, that it's this cyclical process. And so this episode is an exact perfect replica. I'm not thinking it from your perspective.
I'm just, you give the kind of got money and, oh, cool, I have more money. Okay, but you need to give that money to the economy so people can buy. Nope, I'm just going to hoard it all.
But, okay, separating his anarchist approach. The one thing I thought that was kind of very common to what's being done today in the world, it seems, because it seems very popular in Japan as well. We have a number of services. Everybody's probably seen them, either Firm, Zezzle, Cubely. I think it's Cubely. There's a couple of others where you can essentially buy something through an app, use your app to pay for it, and then you can essentially pay it back, like, not exactly like a credit card because you still are limited based on your money, but then you can slowly pay it back. And it's really showing how society, globally apparently, from what I can see for Japan, is that we're becoming more of a debtor world where you can buy, and then just pay back over time.
Now you're going to start playing the Backstreet Boys song, Bye, Bye, Bye.
Wrong band, wrong song. Bye, Bye, Bye is by NSYNC, and it's about leaving a toxic relationship.
Still, bye, bye, bye.
So, but essentially that's kind of what it is. But what I found hilarious is with the social media influencer aspect. So on this app, whatever it's called, I can't remember, you can also HoshiPay. You can also become an influencer where you can make content. People give you money if they like your content.
I know. Why can't I do that? Why can't I just have like a thing that I'm getting money for?
Well, you can do a subscription based on...
I'm not making people pay for my videos.
I know. But by getting that money, you can then use it so you're not using your own personal money to pay for it, which is kind of like a lot of the apps out there where you can play games, get rewarded. Like, I have gotten about $200 in gift cards by playing online games.
For like 6 months.
No.
But, so our episode starts off, though. We got Hiroyuki walks, after the initial thing showing all these people pay with Hoshi Pay. We've got Hiroyuki walks in the office and lights are off, and Rina's like, "Oh yeah, we need to conserve things." Okay. And he's just looking, well, I already pretty much conserve all my money
because he helps pay for his grandma.
For the basics. And then we have Glasses walks in, is like, there is always something you can cut back on. Like, I have cut down to 3 cups of coffee a day.
And for a coffee addict, cutting down to 3 coffee cups is actually pretty impressive.
All I thought of was Advent Nebula at that time. Like, yeah, that would sound like Advent Nebula. I cut down to 3 cups of coffee.
And Glasses decides that he, possibly to make extra money so he might be able to drink more coffee in a day, become a streamer. And
a VTuber, essentially.
A YouTuber.
VTuber,
yes.
Because they could use the artificial face.
And decides that Yoma needs to do this with him. And we see and he has this expectation that I think is so perfect for influencer culture these days, that you put yourself online and you are going to instantaneously have all the subscribers and make all the monies.
Yeah, if only it worked that way.
It doesn't work that way.
I wish it did.
And the reason why some people blow up the way they do is they either do horrible things for content, or, admittedly, I know this is going to sound really shitty, they have someone in the know that can help boost their numbers. It's not as easy as you turn on a video camera like we're doing today, and we're going to make all the monies. So he keeps on checking, and they get 1 subscriber.
Who turns out to be Abba Red.
Yeah, who's their boss. And so Glasses then has the idea of, if we talk about kaiju stuff,
the secret stuff, we can get tons. And even Yoma is like, isn't it? Oh, wait. Why do I keep saying Hiroyuki? Oh, Hiroyuki is Taiga again.
That's why I say Yoma.
Yoma, yes.
It is Yoma, right? Yeah.
Why did I say Hiroyuki? Yuma.
Okay, Yuma. That's what I thought. But
so Yuma goes into the office and sees all this stuff.
And then Yuma is like, no, that's a problem. They go talk to their boss, and he's like, no, you can do kind of like what my company has said to me. You can do YouTube all you want, but when you start infringing on your work and sharing that out.
So, tell us about the plans of the Death Star.
Even if I knew, I would never.
How about the plans of the Gundam?
There are no plans for a Gundam. If there were, I want to know myself.
Okay, but you're building colonies, so therefore you must have a Gundam. Because who else is going to stop that colony drop?
Gundams came after the colonies, so remember that. But, so it's kind of fascinating to see this. Then we find a girl. We find out that the Kanegan, and the reason I think we're going a little bit longer on this episode than the prior one is because this episode was just packed with like so much stuff.
It was also a weirdly good episode, so, even if the ending was kind of eh.
So the Kanegan was created utilizing like this AI structure by this young girl who eerily reminds me of the late Mano from Rio Soldier, because her personality presentation looked like Yui from Rio Soldier. And sadly, I did not think about her passing.
Yeah, I was like, what are you talking about?
And passed so young, needlessly from illness. But I know it happens. But so we find out she created the Kanegon as her avatar through AI that's become its own entity.
But yeah, she was played by Freya in Ghost. Freya was Ellen's sister, right?
Yes.
Okay. But then they have to come up with this plan to digitize him fully so they could trick him into giving up his money. Because since he's not giving back to the economy, he's causing it to crash because he's hoarding all the money.
And he's not necessarily hoarding the money.
No, he's hoarding.
He's eating the money.
He's a Kanegon. He's hoarding the money.
Oh, Kanegon is from another...
It's from Ultra Q.
Okay.
In fact, it talked about the director for this episode, or the writer, whichever. He watched the Ultra Q episode and then researched the Kanegon's creators' notes to make sure he accurately portrayed Kanegon on screen.
So we then get this Gridman aspect where they're going into the digital space to fight, and they do it in such a silly, childlike manner.
And Arc gets pulled into virtual space. So I was like, oh, it practically is Gridman.
But how it's done is so silly. It should be stupid, but it's actually hilarious because Yuppie gets taken in and they get knocked around. It's just so childlike.
Well, no, Yuppie was programmed to be able to access the internet because of the conservation so that he could recharge on the internet.
Energy. And so we get that whole fight that really they just take a moon disc.
Yeah, he turns
put all the stuff to get the money back. And
because
then
he's using the moon shield as a coin.
And then after all of that's said and done, all the money comes back. Everybody gets more money into their accounts. The world is set to right. Not really. But we then end with Glasses deciding he still wants to be a VTuber. And Yuma and him introduced Kanegon into their episode.
Well, no, he gets turned into Kanegon.
Yeah.
Which is actually another callback to the Ultra Q episode, the ending to that.
Oh, really?
Well, yeah. So this kid who was obsessed with money gets turned into a Kanegon, sees where his problem is, gets turned back into a kid, but then when he goes home, his parents have now turned into Kanegons.
Well, it was like watching a drug-fueled Bananas and Pajamas episode.
Oh, especially the virtual world, with how cartoony it was compared to the Kanegon and Arc.
I really feel because it was all practical. They weren't CGI, the Kanegon or Arc. And they still had real effects there for the buildings and things like that. So that was a lot of fun to see. And then moving on to episode 9.
Which is Goodbye Rin.
So for this episode, we get backstory in the Rin and a lot of character development at the same time. So there's a transparent monster that gets electrocuted.
Well, it was Baranga, because he's an electric monster who can camouflage. And
then so after it gets killed, I'm just going to say killed because that's what everybody thought. We then go back to a couple days prior where we find out that there's people selling cells of the various kaiju that have been beaten on the black market. And rich people, rich people, as all rich people are evil, even though some of them are weird. Those rich, nefarious types are buying up the cells.
So rich people.
For whatever reason it may be. And we find out the only way they could have gotten it is it's an inside job. The person they suspect
is Rin's former teacher, who was the one that got him hired.
Got her
Skip.
hired.
Yeah, got her hired by Skip. And it was the guy she had a crush on. So she would just randomly go into his classes after her school when she was in high school.
Yeah, so when she was in high school, I would say probably later side of high school, probably about like senior year.
Well, I was going to say, she was at the end of high
year.
school.
Third year Japan, senior year for us. And come to find out, the reason why she did this is not just because she had a crush on him, but also because she was incredibly smart and awkward from her peers. She did it because it still fed her way of learning. And it was weird because I don't know if you noticed, but it looked like Yuma were in the classes with the teacher. Because I thought I saw him.
So.
Because I know he has a doctorate. But anyways, he is her crush. They spend a lot of time together learning. Like, he doesn't treat her as though he treat her in any inappropriate ways. But you come to find out that whenever he lies, which his admittedly the first lie.
Well, no, before that though, they're talking to him because we still have Naranga is knocked out, and he pulls up a picture of his baby and says, "I'll do anything for the future of my child." And you're like, okay. And Rin also notices, like, wait. Oh. So that's when she started, it clicked on her that he is the culprit.
Because he also has this tell, apparently, which seems like pretty excessive of a tell. Like, people have eye ticks, things like that.
He gets in a flashback scene, he gets a call, says he's stuck in traffic and starts grabbing his, like, touching his lip.
Like, that makes sense when you're talking like that, like, oh shit. Like, that's a tell that, but to do it every single time is a little of a excessive tell, but I guess. And she notices that every other time that he has ever lied, even though you don't see all those flashbacks, that he does something similar. So when she sees him do it when they're talking,
well, she brings up that they're looking for someone who is on the inside stealing monster DNA. He goes, "Oh yeah, security's tight, so that won't happen again, and we'll find whoever did it." And he grabs his lip, signaling that he is the one who's doing it. And so then she goes and says, eventually comes up and says, they suspect you, and I'm going to help you in any way I can.
Well, and I like how she did that, because you get two ways of seeing it. You either, depending on what type of avid viewer you are, you either get that she is really in love with him and she's really trying to help him turn a new leaf. Or B, what I get in my jaded, overly stimulated, having seen this type of story 1,000 times.
That she was going to help him.
That she was going to help him.
Steal it.
No, not steal it. First one, I could see her helping him steal it. Second one, she's tricking him into meeting her.
Well, then
So she is either tricking him or she really intends to help him.
That's what I was saying.
My jaded way
is that she was going to help him.
No, my jaded way is that she was tricking him.
Oh, well, that's not how
my hopeful romantic mind is that she's going to help him out of love. My jaded, having seen this storyline a million times, is that she's tricking him and going to put him into a trap to get caught.
Which she did. But I did like, so they mentioned 4 monsters. the Naranga that's knocked out, and 3 others. And all 4 monsters use the Baragon costume.
So all 4 of them do, because you said the 2 did.
Well, the 2 that we saw on screen. But all 4 they mentioned use the Baragon suit in the actual shows in Ultra Q and Ultraman that they appear in. And then Pagos wakes up, and then we have essentially Baragon versus Baragon, which was kind of funny. And so Arc transforms and ends up having to fight Baragon and Baragon. But
well, at first they're fighting each other.
Yeah, well, obviously. So they're fighting each other. Then Arc shows up. Pagos goes underground. Naranga camouflages. But I like the one scene when we had of Pagos sticking his head up from underground, and you had it as his vision looking at Arc while you have the ground like in front of him. That was pretty cool.
Oh, it was very well shot. The story pacing was well done.
Oh, and the other thing I actually did not mention in episode 7. I did like how the fight took place at night.
Mm-hmm.
That was pretty cool. But yeah, I did like, and then Pagos, let's see, what was it he used to defeat Pagos? Because he used sun mode first, and then he used moon mode.
Yes.
Was it Naranga defeated first, or did he defeat Pagos first? Now I can't remember.
I can't remember.
Well, whatever. But he defeats the monsters, and Rin's love interest guy makes the whole speech, which kind of makes sense that he's thinking about the future, and everyone always thinks about the here and now instead of considering what could be used in the future. So his intentions, he did have some interesting concepts with it. He just was stupid and got caught.
Well, yeah. Well, he makes a good point that we as a world are so reactive versus proactive.
Which is back to the whole Reaganomics thing, because it was to combat a here and now issue without thinking about the consequences later.
Okay, stop talking about Reaganomics. We are not in college anymore.
The Kanagon episode was pretty much mimicking that mindset. That
should we go back to saying there is no such thing as a free lunch?
Well, there is now, but
actually, technically, no, because somebody has to pay for it.
Oh my God! Yeah, it doesn't matter. But
that doesn't matter. But you're going to keep on going on Reaganomics.
No, but he was right. People think about the here and now, not the future. They're not planning of how can we prevent bigger monster attacks in the future that, like, the people who actually are buying these DNA things are.
But are they?
Well, some are.
Some may be, but he specifically said he's doing it to get the capital that he can plan for the future. Obviously, it's just like, think of the movie Lord of War, the Nick Cage movie.
With the really cool opening sequence from the viewpoint of a bullet.
I was thinking of the fact that they sold to the bad people to make money to help get the weapons into the hands of the people who needed it.
So the U.S. government.
All right, moving on. Moving on. So, of all 3 episodes, which one was your favorite?
Well, definitely not episode 7. It's tough because I really, really liked the Rin episode. But I also kind of liked the weirdness of the Kanagon episode. Mm-hmm. So I'm not sure between the 2 which one I like more. If I go for narrative-wise, then the Rin episode, because it had actual character development. It was a really well-done episode, but the Kanagon episode was just so out there and weird that I don't know which one I liked more. Well, I think the Rin episode, though, had a better ending than the Kanagon one, so I probably would go with the Rin one.
That's fair. I liked both episodes more. I do think the Kanagon episode is probably a little bit more of a favorite of mine because it's new versus Rin's episode, which is a very common trope I've seen in Ultraman, where the mentor or the love interest
Well, yeah, there is that.
Has betrayed somebody. I've seen it way too many times to count. Not to say it's bad, because when it's done right, even like how it was done in Blazer, when it's done right, it's done great. But it's when it's done poorly, that's where the problem comes in. But I say I like the Kanagon episode because it really is an allegory for that cautionary thing of you really need to be mindful of your funds. You can't spend, yes, you can't take money with you when you die, but you can't spend like there is no tomorrow. But,
unless you do have infinite money.
Yes.
But then if you have infinite money, you're so freaked out that you won't have it tomorrow. You're hoarding it so no one can enjoy it.
Well, and that's the one thing that you were seeing from that. But I also thought it was a great allegory on the YouTuber, not just YouTuber, because YouTube is just one.
V2.
Well, I'm going to say influencer. I'm not going to say VTuber or anything for the moment. I'm saying influencer. That there are some that can work, but it's not for everyone. But going to the comments, I don't want to. So Chris says donuts. Don't know why. Star Wars fan says hello. Hello. And then didn't know Japan has active volcanoes. So truthfully, we don't have tons of active we don't have tons of active volcanoes in the world that are above ground like we do here in the US, Japan, in Europe. But yeah, Japan's, it's a stratovolcano for Mount Fuji. It is an active volcano that has many eruptions, but like our super volcano that's here, I think it's where in Washington State.
Which one?
Oh God, I can't remember the name. Because I know there's 3 volcanoes in the United States. One is dead, but inactive, and I think there's 1 or 2 that
whatever
active. Because Hawaii has an active one. So they don't erupt all the time, but it's something that they're like a ticking time bomb. So I know, so Star Wars fan says, I know Mothra lays eggs and Minya came out of an egg as well, but didn't know that kaiju can get pregnant. So this is more of a recent thing, like in Ultraman, because we had the Red King, which is not red, or Ella King, I think it was.
No, it was Red King.
Red King.
In Blazer, we had. Well, there was a baby, Cosmos.
Yes.
Well, even
Well, I know that typically it's been more of an egg thing, but I don't think it's necessarily that there's a mommy and daddy, so to speak. Because some creatures, which I think is where they're going with kaiju, have that hermaphrodite type of ability where they can impregnate themselves. It's very rare, but I think that's where we're going with that particular creature from episode 7 that impregnated itself to be able to push on their species. And yeah, NSYNC is the one who did Bye Bye Bye.
I don't think a Hoshi-Pay would be the same as PayPal because you can't really. Well, I guess maybe now you can.
I don't know if PayPal allows you to pay over time. I think of it like Affirm or Zezzle.
What was the other one?
Affirm.
I don't know that.
That's the one that.
Does it have an active action?
Yes, whatever. And then Kanagon is the only kaiju in the season so far that can talk. And I think that's because it didn't start as a kaiju, it became a kaiju. And then AI becomes smarter than you, is what the episode is teaching. So technically, AI is as smart as the information you put into it, which is where a lot of people are having this argument. Is it really AI or machine learning? Because machine learning, you have this stopgap. It can only learn so far, with where AI, technically the expectation is it can continue learning and evolve. And Gridman is basically what if Digimon Ultra series.
But it came out before Digimon.
And then we have Ricardo, PJ Pro. Is that Pajama Pro? Because that sounds
I was
awful.
thinking peanut butter jelly.
Ooh, that's good too.
Peanut butter jelly professional.
Episodes are improving for you. I think with Ace, they're definitely improving. Arc, yes, Arc. I'm enjoying Arc. I was a little afraid when Blazer was so high for me because it had that adult protagonist.
It's improving, but that's because I'm also like, it's just your safe Ultraman show for the year.
But you know what? Sometimes I don't mind a safe series. If it's good and the stories are well done, safe is fine. And yeah, I know Glasses' name is Ishido.
I actually forgot what his actual name
I
was.
just like giving nicknames to these Ultraman characters because it's fun. Ricardo believes that episode 9 is their favorite. Takumi feels that the 3 episodes were like a roller coaster.
Baragon Wars from Sarge Man. Baragon Wars. There we go. Can do the Beast Wars theme, but Baragon Wars.
But overall, the episodes have been improving. Yes, it's still safe. I don't think we're going to get out of that safe zone, but there's nothing wrong with a safe series.
I didn't say there was anything wrong with it. I'm just saying that I'm holding back, like, okay. And I will say the other problem, though, is we still don't know what the main plot of the show is. We have not been introduced to the main narrative. But the episodes were enjoyable. Episode 7 is like an Ultraman Cosmos episode. Yeah, I can see that. Because it was fighting to protect the kaiju and not kill it.
I don't have any like direct comparisons of other Ultra shows. The only thing I can comment is, like I said, for the mentor that either betrays or helps progress the story somehow, or the character development is a common theme in all the Ultraman series that I've seen. But I just have to say, at the end of the day, there is no like annoying antagonist like we had in Taiga. Don't get me wrong, I liked Monokuma, but at times he was very annoying.
Well, because we never knew what his goal was.
And so that was a challenge I had with Taiga versus what we're getting here, is there could be an antagonist, we don't know. But there's nothing trying to derail the story line as we go along through the series. I think right now we're seeing the biggest villain be the SDF at times. But that's pretty common in a lot of Ultraman series. Not saying they're not ever anti-military, but they're anti-overreach of the military.
I will say I'm not sure how I feel about the Sun and Moon forms. They're just basically, the armor just seems kind of pointless to me.
Well, if you think about the fact that they're drawn by a 7-year-old...
Well, I'm just...
I think they work, but yeah, because we talked the last time about how he didn't earn them, and then as I was thinking about seeing the drawing again from a 7-year-old's perspective, you don't exactly earn it. It's just cool to see those fancy upgrades that the characters get in the show, and you think of it from that childlike perspective, probably not you, because you overanalyze fucking cartoons even when you're younger from the stories I heard. But
all I wanted was my Galvatron figure to match the colors of the show.
But did you?
That's all they had to do.
But did you have to feel, even at a 4 or 5-year-old perspective, that your hero had to earn the power up versus having that 80s thing of you get a new toy?
I actually was not an Optimus Prime fan like other people. I actually found Optimus Prime very boring of a hero.
Well, I never liked Optimus Prime anyways, but know who my favorite
I liked
is.
Rodimus Prime more.
Oh, God, I hated Rodimus too. My favorite hero died. Or my favorite villain, I'm sorry. My favorite character of Transformers died.
Yes, but he went out screaming like a bitch.
He did not scream like a bitch. He's never screamed like a bitch.
Right.
And he's come back as a ghost multiple times, which is nice.
And then he screamed like a bitch when he got sent out into space to float into nothingness.
Leave Starscream alone.
All right. But, I mean, there were shows that I did like it when there was a continuous plot when I was a kid.
No. Oh my God, even into adulthood, you can't just enjoy something to enjoy something. It has to have a goddamn purpose.
That is not totally true. There are things that I can enjoy just to enjoy. The Twilight Zone doesn't have a plot, continuous plot. Tales from the Crypt doesn't have a continuous plot.
Excluding those anthology type shows.
Oh, now you're going to make excluding these.
Because those are like anthology type shows. Anthology type shows are completely different.
That's not the point.
Oh.
If you get to pick and choose your bits to take, then I can pick and choose. So, but, let's see, what else do we have? When Ultraman Tiger review is coming out, probably next week, hopefully, because I just recorded the review yesterday, so I'm going to be working on it throughout this week.
He just recorded the video and then decided he hated part of it.
Yes, I have to re-record. I need to re-record the live bits, but
so yeah, Disney in the 2010s had cartoons with continuous plots. I'm actually going to be
Gargoyles had a continuous plot back in the 90s.
Okay.
Power Rangers Season 3 had a continuous plot.
On that lovely...
Hold on, I'm just saying that these shows, there were shows that I watched as a kid that I loved that had continuous plots. So, like, okay, Batman, the anime series, didn't have a continuous plot, and that's still the greatest cartoon ever made.
Okay. Let us continue on with Arc, because this will be a conversation for AI, because I have some argument points for you. Plus, I'll be doing some videos on cartoons and cartoon history.
Whatever. But yeah, we'll have to record some new AI videos next week. But yeah, these 3 episodes, I definitely liked 2 of the 3. The 7th episode wasn't bad, but I didn't hate it, but I wasn't...
You liked 2 and 3, but the 7th episode wasn't bad.
Well, the 2nd and 3rd one we watched. So episodes 8 and 9. So the 7th episode was the first episode we watched. And that one I wasn't a big fan of. So,
okay. We need to end this live stream soon because he's starting to get hangry. So with that being said...
I am not totally hangry.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. We will hopefully get back on a regular schedule for ARC soon. Plus, you will see new AI.
Well, we just have
kaiju.
Too much going on right now.
And then at the same time, I am going to be putting in the community chat a polling question, so to speak, to see what other kinds of AI versus videos or other things that you would be interested in seeing. Because as one comment was made in here, that most YouTubers on the site treat their videos as a job. you have a combination of YouTubers treating their work as a job or treating it as something that they want to become celebrities for. The ones that treat YouTube as a job, they can do very well when they put in the effort.
And YouTube now is my job.
And those who treat it as you want to become a celebrity, that is very different. Kaiju does not want to become a celebrity.
No, but it was cool being at Polymorphicon and
Being recognized as being is different than being a celebrity. Like the Paul brothers.
ugh, fuck those guys.
Like Mr. Beast treats it as a job, and he's earned his credibility as a celebrity.
Which now they're trying to, people that don't like the idea that he has done that are now trying to find things to say, oh no, he faked it all.
So, and what I believe people are going to say, and truthfully, I will give you one thing to ponder on for a lot of the YouTubers that you think are the greatest in the world. Ask yourself, are they part of a conglomerate? Because there are YouTube channels that are made by a business versus regular human beings. And I actually can give you 3 that are made by a business. But I'll do that next time. Bye, everyone.
Well, bye, everyone. You can click like, subscribe, the bell notification, whatever else YouTube has you clicking in to support us. You can support us on Patreon and Bluesky at tokuaannetwork. Facebook, Instagram, Discord at Kaiju no Kami. Website is creativitybydesignllc.com. And then you can click this Kaiju no Kami merchandise at creativitybydesignllc.com/shop. Link in the description below. And tell us what you thought of these episodes of Ultraman Arc if you did not watch this live. And until next time, bye. End.